The envelope appeared to be innocent. Simply my name written in familiar handwriting. My world stopped, though, when I took out the sonogram and read the note, "You'll be the best aunt." Rachel Donovan was not the kind to spy on. She thought in terms of limits. With trust. In love created on strong ground. She persuaded herself it was only stress when her fiancé Ethan grew far away, nights spent grading papers, texts responded slower than normal. Ultimately, they were getting ready for a wedding. Purchasing a house in the calm west side of Asheville. Life was busy. Still, the hole in her gut persisted. The worst of the mornings where Rachel would wake up alone in their shared farmhouse-style house, the other side of the bed frigid, Ethan already gone exercising or grading again. The coffee he used to make for her sat cold on the counter. Notes are not used. Not kisses. Only silence. Her friend Maggie pointed out at work. "Are you sure he is merely under stress?" One afternoon, Maggie asked while they sat outside Maple and Pine Cafe drinking lavender cold brews. Rachel forced a grin. "He is not the kind of cheater." Maggie not pressed. She did, however, carefully say, "I saw him and Lily last Thursday. All together. Inside Ember Lounge." Rachel's hand stopped right in middle of sip. "My sister?" Maggie pointed. Could have been a coincidence. They did not, however, resemble two persons engaged in a casual conversation. More akin to two persons revealing a secret. Rachel dismissed it, but her voice shook. "That is absurd. Ethan speaks to Lily very little. And remember, she has been temporarily staying with us. It's not as if they avoid running across each other." Maggie stopped pushing after a bit. But her eyes spoke it all. Lily had always been the lovely one. The golden lady. Rachel was the silent achiever growing up. Lily danced across life like a butterfly in a sunbeam. Beautiful. Noisy. Always need attention. Rachel had spent her 20s separating them until their mother died suddenly and Lily started spiraling. Rachel had brought her in and given her a room along with a fresh start. Rachel had assured you that you would have your own area. Just till you get back on your feet. 10 months ago is when it was. And somewhere between the job interviews Lily never followed up on and the morning she arrived in Rachel's huge shirts, barefoot and brilliant, Rachel had started to feel like a guest in her own house. Rachel's soon-to-be mother-in-law, Susan Donovan, had previously said at brunch, "It's nice how close Lily and Ethan are. Not all sisters-in-law and brothers-in-law form that kind of relationship." On her mimosa, Rachel had choked. She answered, "They're not that close." Susan laughed and grabbed extra cream cheese. "Don't be dumb, sweetheart. Normal is what it is. You should not be under danger." Under danger. Rachel hadn't been there. Not until she came upon Lily's cardigan on Ethan's side of the bed. Not until Ethan began stating her name like a formality and stopped referring to her as honey. When it came, Tuesday was the day. After a demanding day of client visits and consecutive deadlines, Rachel drew into the driveway. Golden shadows on the porch as the sun started to drop below the trees. On the doormat lay a little white envelope. Lily wrote her name in her rounded, girlish calligraphy. She grabbed it, heart racing, hands instantly frigid. Inside, a sonogram printed on demand. Black and white, grainy, absolutely clear. And dashed beneath it in purple ink, with a small heart dotting the I. "You will be the best aunt." Under her feet the ground slanted. Her sight tunneled and her breath seized in her throat. She had to sit on the porch step with the ultrasound in her hands shaking. Her immediate reflex was not wrath. Denying it was what we did. No. This is unreal. This is a joke in sick form. A blunder. Still, there was actual handwriting. The envelope was shut. Rachel also knew deep inside, in that place where truth blossoms in sorrow. Indeed. She stood then, moved into the house like a ghost. From her hand, her keys dropped on the kitchen counter. She heard the shower above running. Lily's vocals. Vocals. Rachel stopped as she started towards the stairway. Her hand floated above the railing. She turned aside. Not right now. Her body was trying to postpone the fall of everything, so she walked to the refrigerator, opened it haplessly, and peered into its chilly, buzzing light. Ethan left his house that evening. Lily neither did. Rachel, wrapped in a blanket, sat on the porch swing till midnight, the ultrasound neatly folded next to her. She remained dry. Not yet. She simply swayed softly back and forth, the wooden swing creaking under her weight, the summer breeze murmuring through the trees like it already knew the truth. The house was echoing footsteps and false apologies the next morning. Lily responded, eyes crying and voice shaking, "Rachel, we need to talk." She held a cup bearing the cursive lettering "Sisterhood." Rachel fixed her eyes on her. "Says nothing." 5 minutes later, Ethan arrived, silent and shy. They said it was not a one-time error. It kicked off following the engagement celebration. One evening, excessively drunk on wine. It continued like this as well. Rachel was empty. Not passion. Not tears. Exactly emptiness. "Are you keeping it?" she questioned Lily, her voice cool. Lily stared blankly. "Yes. I suppose I should be a mother." Rachel laughed once, sharp and nasty. "And what precisely, in your opinion, I should have been?" Neither replied. That afternoon Susan gave that call. "Rachel, darling, I listened too. It's quite difficult. Family, though, is family. We have to grow in grace. Ethan is just perplexed, Lily is young. He still wants to wed you nonetheless." Rachel kept quiet. "Don't throw everything away over a lapse in judgment," Susan said. "Keep in mind Lily is your sister. Plus you will be an aunt." Rachel hung out. She next turned off her phone. That evening she loaded a suitcase. Not all of her possessions, only the necessities. Some gowns. She always wore black pumps to customer presentations. The bracelet worn by her grandma. She left the ultrasound on the kitchen table with her engagement ring next by. It seemed like a still life painting. Maybe a crime scene. She left the door next last. She had no idea her direction would be. Only that she was not staying. Spending the next 3 nights in Maggie's guest room, Rachel fixated on the whirl shadows created by the ceiling fan across the white wall. She stayed up unable to fall asleep. Not could think. Only the weight of quiet could be felt. Ethan messaged twice. "We should talk. I never wanted to treat you badly. Please help us to resolve this." Lily uploaded a selfie with her puffy eyes together with a caption. "I had no intention of this happening. Still, we can remain a family." Rachel blocked them both as well. Maggie inquired, "Do you want to know what people are saying?" on the 4th day as she passed a cup of peppermint tea across the counter. Rachel shook her head. "I think you do," Maggie answered gently. "Susan has been phoning every one of them. Turning the tale around. You are overreacting, says. Lily's pregnancy was like a blessing in disguise, and you should still wed Ethan and bring the child into your own family." Rachel laughed, a subdued, sad sound. She said that? She also said you were never warm enough to be a mother. Rachel cast a down glance at the tea. I sent that woman my Sundays. My cuisine. My tolerance. Maggie did not respond. She went across the counter sliding a folded napkin. You will need this more than sugar. It came on a business card. Karen Layton is an attorney at law. Rachel entered Karen's workplace looking entirely black, blazer, turtleneck, neat lines. She thought of a widow going to her own funeral. Karen listened without judgment, just adding measured questions in between. Karen's lips tightened when Rachel explained the sonogram. Rachel remarked, I want out. There isn't any drama. Right, done. Karen arched an eyebrow. Surely? You still need to submit the marriage certificate. There is no divorce needed here. In technical terms, you remain single. Rachel stopped. I wish for a neat break, she added. Legal evidence proving I left carrying my dignity and name. She nodded. We can write both sides of formal separation and cease and desist. And, if you're game for it, a public statement to straighten the story. Rachel pauses. Until now, the notion of replying felt beneath her. She remarked, I want that. But silently. There are no theatrics. Merely truth. Rachel went back to her house that weekend for the first time since she left. Maggie arrived with her just in case. Inside the air was too pure. Like the entire place had been cleaned of guilt. Rachel passed the pictures on the corridor wall, images from their engagement shoot when Lily had taken the pictures and Ethan had kissed her temple. They made her sick right now. She got the bedroom closet open. Lily's perfume still hung in the air, but her clothing were unspoiled. Maggie packed jeans, shoes, the blue dress Rachel had worn the evening Ethan proposed. Rachel's eyes spotted something when they reached Ethan's nightstand's top drawer. A flash disc. Not a label. Simply say silver. Take it, Maggie advised. That night from Maggie's couch, Rachel fixated on it. Her weak point was not curiosity. Right now, it was her weapon. She linked it to her laptop. A single audio file. The voice was Lily's, clearly distinct. Laughing is good. Ethan believes I am the one settling. Could you find that surprising? He's lovely, but he's not Liam. You remember Liam? He would forward poems to me. Ethan's just accessible. With hand shaking, Rachel stopped the tape. Then go for another hit play. Rachel is just so always serious. She hardly knows he finds her boring. She folds laundry yet behaves as though she is a CEO. Laugh more. I could decide to keep the baby. Whose knowledge is it? I get the house should she go. Even the name could be considered. Silence. Emma then added still another voice. Lily, you're repulsive. I have this saved. Clicking. Rachel's breath paused. She rubbed a palm over her mouth. Emma. Hers, cousin. That evening she had been present. She had experienced it all. Emma checked in the next morning. I wasn't sure whether I ought to let you know. But I could not allow you leave believing this to be a passionate moment. We calculated it. Why did you wait to tell me? I wished to. But I wanted not to break you. You didn't, Rachel said in whispers. You handed me back my spine. Karen read 2 letters and put the tape on a safe drive. To Ethan 1-1. To Susan. Formally. Frost. Considered in line with legal weight. Cut off communication. Take public comments off the record. Refund erroneous assertions. Rachel signed them both without second thought. She knocked at the door that evening. Maggie reached for it. It was a delivery man courier. Not a return address. He passed Rachel a little cream envelope. Inner was a delicate pink cursive card. You are invited to mark the forthcoming arrival of our small blessing. Organized by Susan Donovan. Location, Saturday at 2 p.m. Donovan Estate. And on the reverse, scribbled in recognizable purple ink. Rachel, I hope you will find it in your heart to visit. Family requires forgiveness. And our child is entitled to the greatest aunt on earth. Lily. Rachel let the card drop. Maggie muttered under her breath a swear. Rachel sighed, I'm not going. Maggie staring at her, eyes flashing. You better not. Rachel grinned, but her smile lacked warmth. I am forwarding something else instead. She worked on a final bundle for 1 hour more. She replaced the baby shower card in its envelope, including a copy of the cease and desist. Then slid in the ultrasound, partially folded, with her engagement ring nestled inside. A sticky note is last item. Forage yourself. I will not be needing to. Rachel sent it overnight by mail. 2 days later Susan turned up at her workplace. Front desk security called from there. A woman in mid-60s is crying here. Says she is your mother-in-law. Rachel responded politely but angrily, no. Her is not. Still, she walked downstairs anyhow. Susan was standing close to the elevators, lightly wiping her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. She said, "Oh, Rachel," as she spotted her. Don't act in this way. You are driving this family apart. Rachel did not waver. You sent me a baby shower invitation like I was just a +1 in my own tragedy. Susan exclaimed. That youngster is a wonder. No, Rachel replied. 2 adults who couldn't keep their falsehoods straight produced that child. And this also? Not forgiveness here is what is cover-up is what it is. Susan extended her hand. Rachel stepped back. I advise you to go, she added gently. My lawyer will be greeting you next time you show up here. Rachel went to sleep that evening. Really slept, for the first time in several weeks. Dream nothing. Not worried at all. Simply quiet. Deep down, though, she knew the storm was not gone. Not right yet. Rachel skipped the birth shower. Her curiosity was absent. She didn't ask Lily what she wore or how Susan greeted the visitors or whether Ethan pretended not to check the driveway every 5 minutes expecting she would show. She just did not show up. She did, however, send something. It came at the Donovan estate about midday, hand-delivered by courier. Inside, still covered in pastel tissue, the original invitation. Her engagement ring was cold and shiny. A folded version of the stop and desist directive. And last, the sonogram picture Lily once sent her. Rachel had put one last detail in place. Stuck across the front a yellow post-it note. 2 of you yearned for a family. Congratulations. I am not present in it. 3 days later her landlord texted her. For hours someone has parked in front of the house. Same black SUV. Thought you ought to be aware of. Rachel omitted responding. She then gave her lawyer a call. Karen sought a permanent protection order against the Donovans, this time for stalking rather than for harassment. Given past restraint behavior previously recorded, a judge approved it in less than 48 hours. Rachel was free of dread now. Only passion and liberty. Emma, her cousin, called right next. "I thought you ought to know." Susan made a speech at the baby shower. Said family always. That everyone should pray for your healing. Rachel sighed and tightened her lips. Did anyone think this was possible? Emma burst out laughing. Your Aunt Margaret got up and said, "I guess I'll pray for your memory instead." She grabbed her shrimp cocktail. You forgot how to produce nice individuals. Rachel laughed, actually. Has anyone captured it? No, but I'll get it painted. Rachel sent notice at work that week. Not in line with her running speed. Since she was ready. Karen had already helped her complete the move. Her company had a branch in Seattle and a lovely little studio close by Green Lake had just opened. It's always raining there, Maggie said teasingly. Good, Rachel answered. Let it wash everything off. Packing came more quickly than she had anticipated. She gave half of her things. She folded the remainder carefully, locking memories into boxes she never intended to open once more. She drove one last round of Asheville on her last night. Past the market run by the elderly farmer from which Ethan used to get sunflowers. Past the diner Lily worked for 3 weeks before calling it quits. The manager wasn't vibing with her aesthetic. She parked at Lake Julian Park just as the sun sank beyond the treeline. The water rippled goldily. Rachel strolled to the edge of the pier. She carried one small velvet purse in her hand. In her was the ring. Not only the one of participation. Ethan had originally given her a little silver band bearing a wave etched on it. Back when life was still uncomplicated. When she still believed that decent enough behavior deserved affection. She opened the pouch, fixed her eyes on both rings. Dropped them then into the lake. There is no drama. Not shouting. No gathering of people. Only silence. A pulse. Stillness followed then. Departed. She got off the jet in Seattle 2 days later. Alone. Luminary. Honest. Her apartment was little yet sunny. The windows ran east toward the trees. She could not trust any echoes of laughing. Not a scent lingering where betrayal used to sleep. She made her own coffee first morning, exactly as she preferred it. Not one lukewarm pot sitting on the counter. Not one kiss absent. There is no silence passing for comfort. Simply her. She sent one last unsigned message from a private email later that week. Forgiveness does not equate to silence. The bravery to turn away when your conscience tells you enough. She never looked at the responses. She never had any need for. Emma wrote her a month later. Here comes the baby. Ivy was their name for her. Susan calls her my second chance already. Rachel didn't respond. She did, meantime, murmur to herself, let them live in that story. Since she started penning her own. Rachel sat by herself in a cafe on a Sunday drenched in rain in Seattle. Reading is. Not on the table is a phone. Not one ghost in her pocket. She received a cupcake from the barista not ordered. From the lady across the room, he gestured. Rachel turned to look perplexingly. An older woman lifted her mug and gave a subdued smile. Rachel tipped her head in amusement. On the cupcake tray sat a napkin. On it someone had scrawled in loopy cursive. You seem someone who has survived something. That warrants sweets. Rachel gracefully nodded. She might perhaps keep that one. Not the rings, rather. Not the invitation either. Not the defying loyalty. This, though. The soft, subdued reminder that surviving did not mean keeping quiet. It required knowing when to stop lecturing and begin living. Mark a 1 in the comments if this narrative speaks to you. And if you haven't yet, kindly click subscribe to Soul Time Reddit to find always truth, strength, and justice returning. Rachel used to believe commitment meant staying even when it hurt. Patience, silence, and self-sacrifice proved that love was indeed present. That if she only provided time, energy, compassion, eventually the people she loved would pick her back. Still, they neglected. They go for comfort, management, familiarity. They chose treachery, then as if it were a family duty, begged pardon. They termed it a mistake, a moment, a lesson in grace. Rachel was aware, though, what it actually was. It was a choice. Made behind her back. Again in stillness. Safeguarded by lies. Ornished with apologies. Then delivered right to her house as a guilt-wrapped ultrasound. They expected her to throw open her arms. Rather, she opened a lawyer's folder. She had stayed the silent one. The constant one. Even though she was the one upset, the person who made dinner wrapped apology into her voice. She let Lily weep more, let Ethan avoid looking her in the eye, let Susan say in subdued accusations. Still, stillness lacked charm. It looked to be a cage. And the lock snapped open the minute she touched that ultrasound carrying the note, "You'll be the best aunt." She may have let out screams. She didn't. She might have pleaded. She ignored. She could have stayed and consumed the guilt under the cover of reconciliation. She neglected. She decided to walk away before people could call her bitter. It was the toughest thing. Before they could change the ending and label it healing, before they could name their child and pretend Rachel had been a member of that family. She went outside. She later penned her own narrative. That was more subdued. Still, sincere. It smelt like coffee in a peaceful kitchen devoid of pretenders. It tasted like breath on a mountain morning when nobody expected her to come clean about picking herself. She preserved her voice but gave up the ring. She called off the wedding, then grabbed her piece. She quit being the good one, but she turned into the free one. And that was sufficient as well. Since certain betrayals call for not exact retribution. They require distance. Some cuts don't call for bandages. They demand limitations. Certain families also do not need repairing. They must be departing. Rachel had no need of winning them back off. She needed to turn away and never turn around. Because forgiveness is not about ensuring comfort for others. It's about bringing oneself into serenity. She forgave them not for their benefit. She let them go so she might quit carrying them. She forgave them by ignoring them. She pardoned them by creating a life so lovely that they would never be let close again. No calls on the phone. Not a single explanation. Absent a guest list. And Rachel didn't blink when the baby was delivered and they uploaded pictures of her labeled as a gift that healed everything. She said simply, "I hope she's nothing like either of you." I closed the tab as well. Not in spite of it. But out of authority. Walking away is the boldest sentence in a story full of stolen paragraphs sometimes. Starting afresh is also the hentai-est form of retribution. If this narrative speaks to you, that is, if you have ever turned away from someone who never merited your allegiance, you know this. You were not extremely chilly. You weren't overly severe. You were just at last choosing yourself. Not selfish is what that is. Holy. So, mark a 1 in the comments if this narrative speaks to you. And if you haven't yet, kindly click subscribe to Soul Time Reddit to find always truth, strength, and justice returning. Here we will be for the next narrative. The one following that as well.